Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner.
Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner.
Cammy's Comic Corner.
Welcome to Cammy's Comic Corner. Geeky Talkie.
The Return.
Remember shaking it like Polaroid pictures?
Generic 2007 pop song.
That's always funny.
It's so when they went to the 80s and the 90s, I was like, aha, ho hum. But they went to fucking 2007, and I was like, pause. I gotta look at everything. It's amazing.
That's
Britney Shears in the background.
like on this whole subreddit of BoJack. They have like screen grabs for like every single like scene, it feels like, and eventually like the people who worked on the show caught on, and they started like leaving messages. Like there's in an upcoming scene, there's like a guy selling t-shirts, and on one of the t-shirts it says like stop looking at this and like pay attention to the episode or something equivalent to that. But basically it was just like, yes, we get it, you guys are like dissecting every frame to see whatever reference, joke, pop culture reference there is. So it's good times. But hello, comic book fans, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cammy's Comic Corner, a Geeky Talkie. I'm your host, as always, Cammy, and joining me once again is the one, the only voiceover actor you need for whatever job.
Yeah, let me know.
Jay Spalding.
That's me. I'm going by Jay now. Why not? Sure. I've already linked the full name in the bio. No more Jeremy Awesome needed.
Nope, no more Jeremy Awesome. It's all Jay Spalding,
Jay Spalding.
voiceover.
That's it.
With his active accounts.
With my very active accounts.
Very.
I posted one thing. Listen, I'm trying. I'm getting
Some might say, why do I even link it at all? But, you know, I try to help him get those followers up, maybe?
Oh, thank you so much. The followers that, well, if I posted quality content, if you like my quality content.
So, again, this also does not count as quality content.
Shit, you're right.
Sorry. Thanks for joining us. How was your summer? No. But no, I mean, a lot has happened since our last initial episode.
Yeah, it's
The
been
Return.
a little while.
It has.
Cameron says, hey, we got The Return. And goodbye.
Yeah, okay. Should we do another one this year? Yeah. I mean, we could just do one a year. That'd be something. That'd be like
Wow, yeah, 1 hour a year.
Just
that
a-
sounds like quality indeed.
an annual. Yeah, just like, all right, so explain 2019
Let's
in
catch
1 hour.
back up on the last year. How did you like Obama's presidency?
Listen, 5 stars. No, can't do an Obama impression anymore. It's not that kind of environment. But yes, I mean, welcome back. I know, like, I've been busy. That's kind of it's been my fault.
Yes, indeed.
It has been my fault with both Comic-Con, getting married, going back to life.
Oh,
as we
wait,
know
I'm
it.
sorry. What was that second one?
A record scratch. Yeah, Amanda and I, we got married. So please hold your applause. Please, no, stop it. Stop
Congratulations.
it. Awesome.
Congratulations. Stop it.
Great. So we went abroad to get married in France, specifically in the little charming town of Versailles.
That's the one with 2 L's, right?
Yes, it is. Good job.
I didn't hear him.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I couldn't even say the punchline. That's how much I hated it.
Oh, you're not alone. So we got married because we've been engaged for the year. We started initially looking at places like stateside here, specifically California, but we weren't liking what we were seeing. So while my sister 2 years prior got married abroad, we decided, hey, that might be a good option for us.
And you decided to marry abroad as well.
There we go. That's
wait,
PC culture now. We can't call them broads, okay? Oh boy. But so we went and got married in Versailles because Amanda really loves Marie Antoinette. She loves the whole history of the palace and King Louis XIV through the 16th, all that fun stuff. And it's only like less than an hour's ride from Paris. So like there's tons of opportunity. And that's where I got engaged to her last year at the Temple of Love in her Petit Trianon. So it obviously has a meaning for us. There's a reason we're doing this. We're not like just picking a random winery in Napa going like, that one, it has wine and it's a good view. Yeah, any winery in Napa is a good view. You know, you gotta pay a couple hundred G's, that's all. But so no, we went, we got married. We'll be honeymooning next year in Scotland.
Oh, lovely.
In like May. So yeah, we're gonna paint that country red if their debt is no longer in the red. Oh boy! Now let's talk about Brexit.
Yeah,
no,
maybe you'll paint them black because you'll actually be injecting some money into their economy.
Yeah, that might be good.
Don't forget to get your passport to England, and then your passport from England to Scotland, and then your passport from Scotland to Ireland as well. You need one individual for each one.
Yeah, we don't want the troubles to happen again, or we don't want to get in troubles, as it were. No. Oh, too soon. Okay, yeah, that might be coming back too. So yeah, that should definitely not be too soon. But no, it is interesting climate over there with the whole Brexit happening, and then Scotland saying like, this might be our turn or chance to try to leave once more. We don't want to be coming down with the ship.
We were voted down because we would have been really rocking the boat beforehand, but well, the boat's over.
But yeah, no, that'll be fun because I've been to Scotland before. We've been to London before as a couple, but she loves Outlander, the show. I love Distillery. So it's a good hand-in-hand marriage. So we'll both be getting something out of it. So, but that's what we've been doing. I've been over in Versailles, getting married. Before that, it was Comic-Con, something that Jeremy has been to several times with me. It always comes up in my my timeline too.
Memories.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh, remember this time you were looking down at a Game Boy, standing in line, just waiting for whatever panel opens. Like, yeah, simpler times.
I remember that.
Simpler
or was
technology.
that the previous year or the next year?
Or exactly, one can never tell. But also, one of my favorites that came up recently was the Ben Templesmith interview we did because we had two cameras. One was mounted, one was like a handy cam.
Yeah.
And then the editing for that was intense too. But it was just like, that's the most professional my show ever got. Was just like, okay, we had two cameras, and Ben was a nice enough gent to have a couple of Coronas and chat with us in the hotel lobby there. So
it was super nice.
But then all that video editing, that's the one thing I don't miss. Like editing this is fine. This is, take a couple hours out of my day.
Just, Jeremy, just cut, put all this me in.
All right, and it's the me show. But no, with video, oh my God, it was such a headache. That would take up whole weekends.
Yeah,
and thankfully, I was single at the time, so otherwise, if I was in a relationship, I would no longer be in a relationship.
Yes.
Who are you going to pick, me or your video show? Babe, 1 second. I just got to edit this 5-minute segment here where I'm talking about Superman versus Batman. Then I'll be all set. I'll be your babe. Where'd you go, babe?
Where'd you go? No, babe, come on. I can grab dinner. It's compiling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We were chatting about BoJack at the opening of the show.
Yes.
One of my highlights of Comic-Con, because I don't need to talk about Comic-Con. If you've been once or if you've seen, it's just the same, Dog and Pony show.
Oh, but it's been getting worse, the Dog and Pony show, every single year.
It has. And
we kind of saw that when we were originally going. Like those, what was it, 5-6 years in a row that we went?
Yeah.
And right at the start when we started going, when we were still in San Diego, it was a comic book convention.
It was.
And then, I don't know, Fox was there with something or other. It was just like a tiny smattering of things. Hall H had a couple of big reveals, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And now it's the movies convention.
It really is. Like it just, Artist Alley keeps shrinking every single year. It's like,
tough.
But yeah, no, I mean, I was talking to my one artist friend, Buzz, and he was talking about how it's a shame that you have all these great success in like the Marvel MCU universe and how all the movies are bringing like a new fandom in, but none of the fans are reading the comics. They're not buying the comics. They're just buying the movie tickets. So the films are doing just fine. They don't need your money.
Right.
It's the comics and the content that eventually gets adapted to the big screen. Those people are struggling. And not just the big two artists of both Marvel and DC, but like even below them, the second tier of independent like people, whether it's Image, Dark Horse, or just independent artists. Like, they're all hoping for, like, some of the trickle-down economics of that.
Yeah, well, people love comics now.
It's not coming.
Oh, people love comic stories now.
Oh, no. When I say I like comics, I like Robert Downey Jr. and his Iron Man. That's what I like. I don't like it. How much does a comic book cost? No, I'm not paying that much. I can get it online for free.
Right.
He was like, oh, boy.
Oh, I always said one of the biggest problems with comic books is that you can't read them while eating popcorn. You just get grease all over it. It ruins the whole thing.
And you can't even see the panels. Like, everything's so dark in there. It's like, and then people yell at you when you try to get your flashlight on your phone up and operational. No.
Say, excuse me, I'm trying to read here. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm a real fan, all right? Do you even know Stan Lee or Steve Ditko? I thought not. No.
No, Stan Lee, the creator of all of our favorite, beloved Marvel icons.
Every single one of them.
Yep. I just popped out of his head like nothing.
No theft or thievery whatsoever. No.
Okay, rest in peace.
But going back to Comic-Con, one of my highlights, I had two, but this year, one of my highlights was getting to meet Raphael Bob Waxberg,
He's my favorite turtle.
the creator of BoJack Horseman.
Oh, amazing.
And get his new book signed, which I didn't even know he had a book. I brought along my BoJack Art Before the Horse book to get signed, but then they totally got me in line. They're like, "Oh, and do you want to purchase his book?" I was like, "Yes, I do. Yes, I
Sure,
do.
I have money in my pocket.
If I get to chat with him longer, then yes, I do." And so I got up, I got to chat with him, shake his hand, go, "Hey, listen, I work at a creative ad agency. We've done all your posters for BoJack, so I get to read the scripts ahead of time. And I want to let you know, I laugh my ass off every time I get to read a script of yours." And, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much." And dear listener, because of the NDAs I've had to sign, you won't be hearing any of that.
Don't
but
ask ever.
No, because I'm not going to tell you. I don't. No, you don't.
No,
Shut
I
up,
don't.
you.
You won't tell me.
That's exactly what I need. Well, Jeremy said you told him. No, I did not. I told no one. But basically, I got to have a moment with him. I got to say, "Hey, thank you so much. Like, I just love your writing style," or just like the stories, because he doesn't write every script, but he definitely has a major hand in where the story goes, what the characters do, all that fun stuff. So I got to meet him, got to get some stuff signed, and I was like walking on air by the end of the day.
Oh, I bet you were.
Because, like, yeah, the whole, you go to the different panels, you get kicked out because, oh, the room's full. You try to go find, exclusives or whatnot, you're waiting, and even more lines. It just feels like nowadays everyone's just going for the exclusive just to stay in the line. And usually it's for nothing. Usually at the end of the day, the exclusive you can easily find on eBay, but people just want to have that experience of like getting one in line. And these like different booths know this because they'll allow people to get up to like 2 to 3 different items because they're going to get one for themselves, maybe one for their friend, or they'll just sell the other one online, and then that'll take care of hotel costs. There are websites that do that. They give you a list of exclusives like, "Hey, if you want to make your money back at Comic-Con, here's what you got to buy, and then this is what they'll probably go for online." But then it's like, well, what's the point of going in the first place if you're just going to be waiting in lines all weekend to flip stuff next day?
Yeah, but going and having the experience and also making some money.
Yeah, I guess. But like, I'm the kind of guy who I will take the toys out of the box and play with them. Like, I don't give a shit about just
You're
like
someone who appreciates the art.
Of course, they're meant to be played with. Or if they're a collectible statue, then I'll put them up somewhere. I'm not going to keep it in a box because
Yes, indeed you will.
I've been over to some like he's you can't see it, but yes, there's several in the room here.
Several.
But I've been over to several
outta
people's
here.
houses or like apartments, and they have like just a wall of boxes, and they're like nothing has been taken out. There's like this is
condition.
my retirement fund.
Yeah,
I'm going to retire.
All
on
of
this.
my money is going into Funko Pops, okay? Everything is going into Funko Pops.
And they still do. People are still buying this stuff up, and like I kind of got like. I'll admit, when I was working at Famous Monsters, like I was like, okay, all my workmates, they have like piles and piles of Funko Pops. I need Funko Pops. And then like when I left there, I was like, God, what came over me? I don't need Funko Pops. Like they have a pop of everything, and they're all just the same simplistic, beady-eyed fucks that you see. So
here's a Funko Pop silhouette. Can you tell me who it is?
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They will actually sell a silhouette. Like it's just painted black, and then you have to guess. Like, well, I guess that could be Donald Duck. Or they're Hitler. I don't know which one. Or, the meeting of both when Donald Duck played Hitler in a
That's
couple of
true.
those
He
shorts.
did play Hitler. He did
I
a
wonder
great
if that's going to be on Disney Plus. I don't think so.
I don't know. Song of the South was taken off for some reason.
What?
I'm not sure.
I don't believe it. Was it too songy or too southy?
It was definitely the latter.
Was it the wrong
Absolutely
South?
the latter.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was the nice white children taking care of the poor old stupid black man. And telling him their stories,
What's wrong with that? That sounds like a very nice little
we're
fairy
gonna
tale.
cut that
Okay.
off.
What? But yes, no. Back to Comic-Con, and that was.
We are sponsored by Disney. I don't know if you
No, but we do have a sponsor, which I will bring up after this. Oh. But the other highlight of Comic-Con for me was meeting Chris Ware. Chris Ware is an illustrator who's been in the industry for so long. I fell in love with his work called Jimmy Corrigan, the Smartest Boy on Earth.
Oh, yeah. You've talked about it.
I have, yes.
To me.
Yeah, I have, yes. But like, one of those comics were the kinds that really opened my eyes and my perspective of what comics could be. Like with the beautiful line work, the graphic design of it. It doesn't always have to be superheroes fighting each other. Like it was something new and different. And then honestly, that's probably one of the things that kind of set me out on the path I've been on ever since of just like finding things that aren't mainstream as much, but like more independent stuff.
Yeah.
But so yeah, getting to meet him, he was so humble too. He's like, "Oh, hey, thanks so much." Like, and then like right behind him was another graphic design legend, Chip Kidd, who was rolling up these posters for the upcoming book. And I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" Amanda got some pictures because she was standing in line with me. She wasn't with me with Raphael, but it was such a cool experience because that's the kind of shit that I would share online, and people were like, "Whoa." Like, I didn't know he was here, or like I didn't know that you could just go up and get a handshake kind of thing. And so it's like, oh no, it was really cool. Sometimes all those press emails they send you, you get the one that you're like, hey, there's a signing schedule for people I actually want to see. If I get there early enough, maybe I'll actually get to see them this time.
You got to sift through all the New
my
World
God.
premieres of films you don't give a shit about.
I still get messages from people both on Facebook and on Gmail saying like, hey, I got a great comic for you to review. Hey, you guys. And it's like, well, first of all, it's just a me operation. Secondly, I haven't written about comics for quite some time now. And thirdly, how'd you get this number? Don't you know who I am? But speaking of how do you get this number and getting emails, I put out a lovely little APB on social media saying, hey guys, Snickers, they sent us a cease and desist for our last episode of sponsoring.
Yes,
so,
unfortunately. I've stopped eating Snickers entirely.
I too, yes, we're boycotting.
Fucking peanuts.
Yeah, Mr. Peanut. It's big peanut money is what it is.
That's
definitely what it is. But I sent out a little APB saying, hey, you, the listener, can sponsor the episode, whatever you want. And I had some people reach out and go, oh, that sounds great. I'll send you something. And of all the people that were like, oh, yes, I'll send you a copy for something. Because I was like, whatever you want. Don't care. I'll put it on the air.
Yep.
One guy got back to me.
Hey.
Harker Jones, my old coworker. He was in the trenches of Famous Monsters with me back in the day, getting underpaid, no health care, and getting yelled at just for doing our jobs. So he has a new book coming out, and I will now take this opportunity to bring you the sponsor of the episode. Who doesn't want to keep summer going? Who doesn't want to relive first love? You can do both with Until September, a new love story by Harker Jones. Haunted by the ghosts of a tragedy that took place in his youth, 17-year-old Kyle understands loss and secrets. When he meets quiet, bookish Jack the summer between high school and university, he falls hopelessly in love. Amid mounting familial, sexual, and peer pressures, Kyle and his friends make heartbreaking decisions that will steal their innocence, destroy lives, and consume them forever. If you like Brokeback Mountain and Call Me By Your Name, you'll fall in love with Kyle as he navigates his own summer of love. Until September, a gay coming-of-age love story by Harker Jones, only 99 cents on Amazon. And I know Harker. He's a writer just like myself. This is like his first, one of his first books, I believe, on Amazon. But he's also written several screenplays, and some of them are making the festival circuits too. So it's so cool to see him like go from a shitty job with me to like launching his own career and just like really taking life by the horns and going like, nope, I'm gonna make life my bitch, because like he is constantly working, and we check in on occasion, but it's like, oh, you want me to sponsor, or you want to sponsor the episode of this? Absolutely. I would love nothing more to do that. So Harker, thank you for sponsoring the episode.
Thank you, Harper.
Harker.
Thank you, Harper.
Harper is my dad.
Harper is your
How
dad.
dare you?
Thank you, Harker.
And if you want to sponsor again, the first bite's free. So now we're going to have to talk payment options in the future.
Look, we're trying to make big bucks off of this Dog and Pony show.
I quit my job yesterday because I have confidence in this podcast. Right, buddy? Jeremy, where are you going? But so, yes, enough about me talking for like ever about my experiences.
Oh, come on.
What have you been up to, man?
What have I been up to? Well, I've decided, since I talked your ear off about video games last time, that I'm going
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing
that
wrong
I'm
with
going
that.
to pare it down
Okay.
a little bit. There's been two major events that happened recently.
Explain, please.
There was EVO, which is the fighting game championship for Street Fighter and all the other kind of things like it.
Okay.
They have it every year in Vegas. This
Okay.
is, I think, the 8th one or 9th one. It's maybe the 18th one. I'm not sure.
okay.
But it's pretty early on in its conception. But it's been in Vegas for the last few years. I went the previous year. So much fun. Absolutely so much fun. I didn't compete in anything, but it was Vegas. You know, why wouldn't I go?
You took a gamble. Yeah.
Hey, and I lost $200.
Oh, no.
Well, that was real, actually.
What happened to your shoes? Jeremy, you're not wearing sandals.
So EVO was about 3 weeks ago. As of now, it's big fun. Super Smash Brothers was the biggest one this year. Usually it's going to be Street Fighter, but it's as like
Oh,
know
yeah,
it all.
absolutely. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm just nodding my head.
Anyone who knows, but Street Fighter has been it needs a little bit of love, and they're kind of building it back up from where it was. And immediately after that was Gamescom in Germany. We have E3 over here.
Right.
Gamescom was the next week, and Gamescom is basically the European version of a big video game event.
Okay.
And there weren't any huge announcements or stuff, but it was cool. It was good on that. The video game Bloodstained just came out. I don't know if you've ever heard of Castlevania.
Yes, of course.
Castlevania on the way old
I
Super
played.
Nintendo.
I played the way old Super
Way
Nintendo.
old
Yeah,
NES,
yeah, yeah.
Super NES ones. Yeah, Castlevania 4 and the NES, Super Castlevania 4, was an incredible game. And eventually, back in the day on the PlayStation 1, there was a game called Castlevania Symphony of the Night that was made. It was designed by a different guy, Igarashi, who he had a bit of a different attitude towards it, more of an RPG as opposed to the big long level that you go, like the original NES style. Level 1, bloop, 3 lives, that kind of thing. It was more of a sprawling kind of thing, and he sort of reinvented the whole shebang. And the next 5 or 6 Castlevanias were directed by him, and everybody loved them because Konami is how they are. As you well know,
Of course.
Konami was a big game company back in the day. They made Contra, they made Castlevania,
Several of
they
the
made
classics,
Metal Gear Solid. At some point, they decided to stop making games entirely, but still hold all these IPs and not sell them off. I don't really know why, but they're not making shit anymore, so they canned him. He went on to Kickstarter, and it's been about 3 or 4 years since then. He went on Kickstarter. He said, "I want to make another one of these games." Got super funded. It was one of the most funded Kickstarters in existence at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was incredible. And that just came out. And it is amazing. If you have any interest in any of the words that I've said at all, give it a shot. It's wonderful. Absolutely get on that. And final bit of news is, you're going to hate this. Guess what comes out tomorrow? 15 years ago, a little game called World of Warcraft
Oh
happened.
my gosh.
A little teeny tiny game. You may have heard of it at some point. A few of your friends played
Not
it.
Warcraft or Warcraft 2 or Warcraft 3. The world of
The
Warcraft.
world of Warcraft.
The crack epidemic
Yes.
like started at this time.
Correct.
in my
So
friend
it would
groups.
have been about 3 months from now that it
Yeah.
comes out. But they decided to go back and release it as it once was 15 years back in the day. Classic World of Warcraft comes out on Monday. And a lot of my old friends are getting their crack pipes ready to smoke the shit out of it, man. Me, not so much. That sounds like a hole that I dug myself into and spent many, many years digging out.
Yes.
But
No.
that's happening in the very near future. That's pretty big news. And that's all I got for the docket.
Well, real quick, back to the Kickstarter game.
Yes.
Because it's been so successful so far, do you think has there been any like announcements or like rumblings of like maybe a sequel?
My God, I hope so.
Because like it sounds like if it's good, like chances are the guy, everyone took a chance on him because it was the name and the experience. Why not just continue funding it via Kickstarter until some game company gets their head out of their ass and goes like, oh, well, let's produce this, or let's work with them and help spread the word.
I think that would be absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if someone had some real big, because even though it was one of the most successful Kickstarters, it was probably like 14 million, which is, sounds pretty high.
But that's
To
like
me,
typical for games, right?
That's
Yeah.
a kind of a drop in the bucket for games these days. And you really feel like it's an independent adventure, even though it has a lot of money and a lot of design. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels good to do. It still looks kind of goofy. Still looks a little cheap.
So it could be rendered off in little.
No Call of Duty, let's
Okay.
say, in terms of budget and everything else. So it absolutely could be picked up. I think that they are returning on their investment right now and getting a lot more people interested in it. I think we're a few years away from any big announcements like
Right,
that.
right.
But hey, fingers crossed.
I
Here's
mean,
hoping.
that's what if they are, they're doing it right now. They're not telling us. Yeah, they gotta make sure that they got at least something to show off in a couple of
course,
years.
of
So then,
course.
when you pitch it again for another Kickstarter, and then with Kickstarter, and I know this because I've subscribed to a couple in the past,
Hmm.
they will still send you emails, and you will still get them, even if like it ended 5 years ago.
Yeah,
They're like,
well,
hey,
actually.
I've got another project in line here, so why don't you come fund this one next? And sometimes it's like, leave me alone. But if it sounds
Yeah,
like
please,
if it's
God.
something like this, people would definitely jump on and tell their friends, and then like have all the different articles about it, and then it makes even double from what it made the first time. Or whatnot.
Yes, here's hoping. Yeah, it is, and they've laid the groundwork as well. When you make a game from nothing at all, what you do first is you build the engine, and then you build the assets and stuff inside of the engine. The engine does take a lot of time and money, but once you've got that, really you can put any coat of paint on it that you want.
And then
and
it'll-
it seems like they've built something where you build, you've got all the different building blocks at the beginning. You just need to build them into your Lego castle or. Shit. Shit. What is it? what's the fucking the Duplo?
Duplo.
You build them into your Lego castle, or you could build them into your Duplo duplex.
Oh, there we
Hey,
go.
there
I
we
wonder
go.
if that's where that came
Saved
from.
it.
There we go.
So I'm hoping that they come out with something. We're a little bit while off from that. But
Uh-huh.
hey, again, if you're interested at all, fantastic game. I played all the way through it. Haven't 100%ed it yet because I don't have the time. I'm a big important executive.
What platform is it on?
It is on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
It is on the PlayStation. It is on the Xbox. I think it's
So
on the
it's
Xbox.
essentially on everything.
It's on PC. It's on pretty much everything.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there still any gaming on like Macintosh or anything like that? 'Cause-
At this point, the way that Steam works, Steam
Okay.
is the major platform
Yeah,
that
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of video games are played on nowadays. Of course, we've got Epic as well. For anyone that knows or cares. But Steam is the big one, and as such, a lot of people have just made games that work on both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, that sounds great. World of Warcraft, 15 years. Like I'm still
15 years, man.
Like I could tell you what my weekends were like or like going like through school or like classes and stuff like that, and then just looking up at the clock and you're like, oh, it's 4 a.m. I've been doing this all night, essentially.
Yep.
And I was a part of the first like generation of playing, and I sucked. But like I went on because I was with my friends to go on quests, but. They were the kind of guys, my friends who were like video gamers, they would just like level up overnight. Like they'd be like level like 40 and I'd just be like, oh, I'm still number 5. Or like, oh, I'm still like hunting and
Sorry,
getting
guys, I had to
pelts.
do my homework.
Yeah, and so that it has eventually lost interest in me. And I was like, okay,
Sure.
hey, I got better things to do with my time. But then when I was reviewing comics, they had a World of Warcraft comic come out. And it was written and illustrated by Walt Simonson, who is a huge name in the business, great art. He's done Thor, he's done all sorts of stuff. But his art and his storytelling, I was like, oh, I know where that was in the game. Or, oh, wow, that's a really good rendering. And then that eventually sucked me back in. So, Mr. Simonson, if you're listening, fuck you. You got because the second time was the worst because then I really committed. But then I eventually, like you, had to like really step away from it and like tell myself it's not worth it. Like,
absolutely
you're
not worth
never
it.
gonna like get to these levels that these guys are at because either they've spent their entire lives waiting for this moment to like level up and be the best ever with the best armors and shit like that. And like even my rig wasn't all that great. Like I was barely getting by on like whatever processing speed I had at the time.
I remember seeing your rig.
Yeah, no, it
Wasn't great.
sucked. It was horrible. So listen, if a new generation gets hooked, Godspeed. Much like with Alcoholics Anonymous, there are
Yes.
gaming addiction groups out there
Yes,
as well.
there are indeed. I haven't been to any of them, but I've heard that maybe I should go.
You just sit in the back.
Just sit in the back. Fuck this.
You want to participate? No, not today. Not this week. No.
But that does remind me of a great scene from the TV show that I just recently watched.
Yes.
And the final clincher to the episode, The Boys.
On Amazon Prime.
On Amazon Prime.
Based off the comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek
Who
Robertson.
also wrote Preacher, is that correct?
Garth Ennis has written Preacher. Yes, he's written several
The
things
other
in the
major
comics.
network TV.
Yes, as a matter of fact, AMC, and also executive produced by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen.
Oh, right,
they're
okay.
a big fan of his.
It sounds like it.
And unfortunately, Preacher just came to an end recently, or it's
okay.
going to, because I guess, it was on AMC, and AMC isn't what it used to be. It could have been much better suited for like a Netflix
They
or
had all that
an
Walking Dead
Amazon.
money.
Ooh, boy, that's another one. But no, with The Boys, it originally started at Wildstorm, which was a DC Comics imprint. But it only ran for like 6 issues, and I had the original 6 issues. I only recently sold my run of it. But they...
Good. Would make bank now.
Well, no, I
making
still made,
headlines.
I'm honestly surprised I made back some money off my comic book run of The Boys. But and I have the hardcovers up here too. Like I'm fine. But it was originally at Wildstorm, and eventually the editor-in-chief of like DC Comics at the time, Paul Levitz, he wasn't a fan of what Garth and Derek were doing. They were making fun of not only superheroes, but like the archetypes that like DC was also like they're Supermen,
They're
like they're
very
Wonder
DC
Woman.
archetypes, oh, yeah.
Well, they're all over the place, but at the same time, in the comics, it was what you're seeing in the show is like kind of mild in comparison to the comics.
A little bit like Watchmen, would you say?
No, like graphically, like just like the sex, the nudity, the drug use, the violence was like out of control, and so that's what drew a lot of people to the comics. They're like, holy shit,
Sure,
because
yeah.
you're getting that with Garth Ennis. First of all, he's done epic runs on The Punisher, on Preacher, where shit goes down, and you're like, holy crap, like I did not see that coming. But like it was like even like a little too much for Paul Levitz and everyone else. So they're like, you know what, you can take this elsewhere. And so Dynamite Entertainment, which is a very shitty comic book company, but they saw opportunity. They're like, yes, we will definitely come in and take that over. And it's been running ever since. it might have ended a couple years ago. I haven't really kept in touch, but like the shit they got away with, and just see that get adapted to television. I gotta say, they did a really faithful job to it. Like,
Really?
they really
Because
still.
that was my biggest question.
Yes.
Obviously, there's got to be some contrivances for TV and
of
something
course.
else.
Oh yes.
But because you're on a digital streaming platform, you can. It's a little HBO-y. You can
A
kind of do
little
whatever
bit,
you want.
and it was also on Amazon. Like there are other kind of show like that. That's kind of like, oh, that's a little risque. Is like something that comes to mind is like Fleabag, but that doesn't even have like the violence. It just has like the sex and language. But like with the boys, like obviously they've toned it down from some certain storylines in the comics, but at the same time though, it was still enough to be like, holy shit, like this is out of control. It still did a successful job of showing like the dark side of superheroes who are just like pop stars, actors, celebrities, and taking advantage of their success and fame.
Yeah, it's corporation style.
It totally is, especially with all the
American indeed.
yes, very American. But yeah, we won't get into like too much spoilers, as it were.
Sure.
But like, how did you hear about it? Were you like interested in the get go from it? And I know you binged it, right?
I binged it. Yeah. Well, I knew this podcast was coming up. I was like, all right, gonna crack down. I turn off BoJack. I'm gonna get on the boys. I've seen 3 seasons of BoJack. I love it. But when I was in the middle of watching that, I was kind of looking for something to do. I'm working temp at the moment, so I'm between jobs. So I gotta find something to do. I heard it pop up everywhere. Different podcasts that I listen to. I've seen it online. People have been talking about it on YouTube. Like, it's just popped up here and there. Nobody wants to say anything about it.
Right.
Because obviously there's some pretty hefty spoilers.
Absolutely.
It is a romp through that film, through a lot of different shit going on. I just heard that it was phenomenal and it was a great take. And for someone who is not 100% keen on superheroes, which would be me. I don't know. I don't care much for the DC comics. Marvel comics I care a little bit more about. But I always liked the Dark Horse and everything else that you were showing me from the independent stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which is why the only movies that I went and I chose to saw were Hellboy. All of them.
boy.
Speaking of the new one.
Okay.
boy.
What new one? Yeah.
So I said, hell yes, I'm checked in. And I gave it a shot, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I had an excellent time through it. It was played really well. Actually, I had a great question.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, did you like Simon Pegg's American accent better or Carl Urban's Cockney accent?
I love Carl Urban's Cockney accent better. Do you know why Simon Pegg's there?
I don't know why Simon Pegg's there.
So this was when the comics first came out. Derek based Wee Huey on Simon Pegg, like his
Okay.
likeness. You
Yeah.
could definitely see it, and I'll show you the comics after this. But yeah, it definitely was like, oh, okay, that's obviously Simon Pegg. So it was also them kind of hinting like, if this gets adapted, we have a good idea who should be playing Wee Huey. And like Simon Pegg was on board. He thought that was great, and of course he was like, yeah, if a role is essentially tailor made for me, I would love to
Happy to take
star
it.
in whatever adaptation.
20 years goes by.
Yes, but unfortunately, all these different other, because this was kind of during the comic book movie boom anywhere, where everything was getting adapted, not everything was working out, or like deals were in place, but they would fall apart like two weeks later, kind of thing. So The Boys was essentially supposed to be a movie for the longest time, then a TV show, and then they couldn't find the right network, and so then it was going on and off, on and off. Eventually, finally, they came to Amazon, but so much time had passed that Simon Pegg wasn't the typecast anymore, because
He's no spring chicken anymore.
no,
Yeah.
Wee Huey's supposed to be a younger character, especially like young, in love, all that stuff. So they threw him a bone in a sense of like, well, we can't have you as Wee Huey, but you could be his father. So it's a nice little like, still tip of the hat to him. Like, yes,
good. That's
you were
good.
supposed to be in like earlier renditions of this, but that didn't happen. So enjoy fatherhood. But no, the American accent was a little weird to me.
It's always, I mean, as someone who does professional voice acting for a living, or maybe
boy.
not, but for someone who cares enough about it to listen to it, even the layman hearing that, he was struggling, he was
But
trying.
I gotta say, Carl Urban, though, I've always been a fan of his like roles in because he's been in geekdom all the time, through Lord of the Rings to fucking Judge Dredd, which I love him in Judge Dredd. He's so good in that. I think his Billy Butcher is amazing.
He did an
love
incredible
it.
job.
So
I wasn't quite sold on I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing a Cockney accent? Oh, he's from New Zealand. Okay. I get it. I can see why he's struggling a little bit. And then he immediately molded into it. I suddenly, anything that was taking me out of the character, I was 100% in.
Yeah.
And he did a fantastic job.
Oh my god! I think just the seven, just showing like the whole corporation and how like it's essentially the superheroes are just marketed as such, and like everything's like reality TV in that sense. Like it just, and even I was happy with some of the possible future storylines they hint at, because in the comics there are several different big ones, but I mean some of the different like things that kind of differ from the comics in the show is in the comics they're able to go toe to toe with the superheroes because they also inject themselves with the V. So it's like level playing field. But in the show, they just introduced the concept of V and how it's kind of like a drug to the superheroes. So I don't know if they're going to start playing along with that a little bit more in future storylines.
To me, having watched the show and not read the comic,
yes,
which is going to be remedied soon, I'm sure. Yes. I'm sure you're going to send me home with the.
Oh
with the
yes,
book.
oh absolutely.
Oh yes, I've got homework to do. But to me, I feel like there were enough scenes suggesting that while it wasn't safe for a normal human to take the V,
yes,
it was certainly possible.
Absolutely.
And things could happen. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a setup that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, basically, I know they weren't sure, but like they announced season 2 before the first season even debuted.
Really?
Because it was getting so much buzz, and also I think they were just like, okay, let's take a chance on it. Like we want to have our own piece of like this whole superhero in pop culture.
Well, they got it.
They had like booths at Comic-Con, like outside of the convention center. There was a whole Amazon Prime booth for like The Boys, and then also their other show coming out soon, Carnival Row, which is with Orlando Bloom and Cara Devine or Davini or whatever her name is. It's like fairy fantasy creatures coming like during the Great Depression or something like that in America.
Okay, I'm interested enough.
America or London, I forget which one, but it's like it's a period trauma with fantasy elements. But basically, The Boys made a splash there. They like premiered the pilot episode for a private showing one night. I mean, it's great.
The episode 1 hook got me in instantly.
Oh, with Huey losing his girlfriend.
Yes, with Huey losing his girlfriend.
And I was wondering how they were going to play that out. Amanda just happened to walk into like the room when I was watching that scene. I was like, "Oh, babe, you're going to want to watch this." And so she's like watching, and then it's slowly like coming. She's slowly realizing like what's happening. She's like, "Oh my God, what the hell?"
As the camera slowly pans to the side, and you're like, I see.
Because that's what would happen if the Flash ran through you.
Of course. Now we find out a little bit more why it happened, but not too much in the spoilers.
No, but
that's the big hook, and man, it sold me.
And then just at the end of the season 2, that hook. It was just
I'm ready for season 2.
Okay.
Here we go.
They're filming right now. It's been announced that one character from the comics is going to make a debut. His name in the comics is Stormfront, and it's like a Nazi superhero.
Okay.
He has like a Nazi flag as a cape. They couldn't sell the cover in Germany because of like Nazi laws, and it had a huge swastika on his cape, and he's like on he's like on this like dark cloud watching all this terror. It's an homage to another All-Star Superman cover by Frank Quitely, but it was just like, oh, so a Nazi's gonna be in season 2 now, and they're going to make it a woman too. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
Hey, all right.
I don't know the actress's name, but I remember that was like, oh yeah, so season 2's happening. And one of the major characters is going to be this Nazi.
It's a Nazi lady.
So named Stormfront, coincidentally enough. So yeah. So I can't wait to see what happens. I think in this kind of this environment of comic book shows getting canceled left and right, or some sinking, some swimming, I think The Boys is definitely here to stay. If Amazon treats this with respect and and just takes their time with it and doesn't try to like make it a Walking Dead, I think it has legs to go on for several seasons.
Hell yeah.
Because it's superheroes, but people are done with superheroes. They want a little nitty gritty and like, okay.
Yes. That's Watchmen came out a little bit too soon for that. I think Watchmen coming out right now,
which it will.
Yeah. Watchmen coming out right now would be the right choice. And hey, look, now we've got it.
It's kind of like the 80s in that sense, because in the 80s, that's when Watchmen the comic came out. That's when The Dark Knight Rises comes out, or Dark Knight Returns, I'm sorry. I was thinking Christopher Nolan. But that's when it was like giving people the okay to enjoy a grittier type of superheroes that they grew up loving. No more bam, piff, wow. It's like more like, oh, Batman just broke that guy's nose. And oh, God, that's grisly detail of the blood gushing
Blood
from his
gushing down. We've got an entire panel full of the red paint coming down.
I mean, if people are smart and they want to get their shows adapted, don't go to Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi has been canceling shit left and right, whether it's Deadly Class, whether it's Krypton, which no one wanted except David Esquire, and then most recently Happy, which was also another Image comic by Grant Morrison and Derek Robertson as well. So they just need to stop trying to be like oh, we're cool, we're nerdy, we're hip, if they're not willing to commit to that kind of stuff.
Dump the money on. It's big right now.
It
People
is.
buying it.
It is, but I think also comic creators need to be a little bit more wary of who they're allowing the IP rights to.
Well, I'm sure as a self-published person, you've got the understanding of you've got your baby and
Yes.
you're trying to get it out there. And sometimes if you get a positive note from just about anyone, maybe you might be willing to jump on it.
Yeah, no, I listen, I get it because comics is not a big industry in general. Like, people aren't going into comics to make money. If it happens, it's by accident, and you need to just take the reins and ride that as long as you can. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, you should just keep working, and maybe something will click down the road. And yeah, you don't have to sell your baby to the first person you see, because I mean, chances are they might just make it an abomination, and then people will go to the source material and go, "This is nothing like the show. This comic sucks. Why isn't it like this?"
Are we talking about Watchmen again? Is
Oh
that-
no! How dare you? How dare you, good sir? Only
How
if
dare you besmirch Zach's name?
Oh no! You can besmirch it all you want. That I have no problem with that. Like the guy's a total tool in my opinion. But oh no,
Hot takes.
He's a hack. Like if it's nothing he's adapting, then he doesn't know what to do. Like with Watchmen the movie, that thing is so layered like an onion that you could have gone several different directions. But it's like, okay, so this is a whole storyboard, this entire graphic novel. I'll just shoot it shot for shot.
Shot for shot. Here we go.
Who cares about character or complexities or like character depths or anything like that? And
Somebody made this movie for me. They just printed it out.
no, it's like 300 all over again. All I have to do is just hit record, and there we go. So no, I have my issues with Mr. Snyder, but he's no longer in the driver's seat for the DCU, so I have no problem seeing the future movies now that he's not associated with them.
Well, see where they go.
We'll see. But yeah, boys, good stuff.
Excellent stuff.
Have you been watching anything else besides The Boys and BoJack? I know like, you mentioned that. Yeah, you mainly video games if you have some time here and there.
Yeah, video games are mainly what I'm going to be spending time on. In the near future, now that The Boys is done,
Yes.
I'm going to jump on Good Omens.
Oh,
I'm
that's
very
another
excited about
good
that.
one.
Have you seen it?
I've read the book too. If you want,
I love I actually reread the book recently.
Oh, good. So,
and I
okay.
read the book when I was young.
Yes,
You know.
yes.
Terry Pratchett, I love. Neil Gaiman, I love. Boom.
if you like Douglas Adams and that kind of like sense of humor, Good Omens is definitely for you. Like the book definitely encapsulates that. Just the going back and forth between Crowley and Aziraphale. Michael Sheen and David Tennant in the show are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I won't ruin it for you, but if you've already read the book, you
I've
know what
already read the
happens.
book, I kinda know what's going
You
on.
kind of know, but like it's fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. So
I definitely, when I saw the two of them were going to be headlining it, I definitely knew it was going to be something worth watching. And then I saw the preview for it, and the preview seemed very Doctor Who to me.
Okay.
Seemed very kind of cheap British television.
I think they were just shoving everything at the audience just to show like what's gonna be.
That's definitely the
Yeah.
impression that I've gotten. I've seen some clips since then, so I'm willing to go into it with an open mind.
And we can talk about that next episode because
course
I
we
would love to do a deep dive on that.
Yes.
That'd be so much fun.
But that's in the near future. Other than that, that's been my week.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds great. One thing I forgot to mention last time we were chatting was there was I mentioned like, oh, I think you asked me like, oh, what are you reading independent wise, and
Yeah,
I just
right.
had a complete
You're like,
blank.
I dropped that on your.
And mind you, to my left is like an entire shelf of like graphic novels from like all sorts of like all over the world. But I have been for the past several years doing some English editing copy translations for Italian publisher called Hollow Press.
Hollow Press.
They first came on my radar back in the day when I was still writing for Bleeding Cool. A friend of ours, Chris Ram, do you remember Chris
Yes,
from
I
high
do.
school? He ran up to me when I was getting back from a vacation and like
I'm
threw-
imagining him just.
no, it kind of was like that. Like he saw me arriving home and he like got out of his car. He's like, "Hey man, I think you should read this." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was an anthology series called Under Dark Weird Fantasy Grounds or something like that. Yeah.
It'll be in the U's in your library.
Used. Yes, I was trying to see. I couldn't see it. But basically, it was volume 1. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, it's right there.
I've got the book in front of
Yes,
me.
Under Dark
Video
Weird Fantasy
listeners
Grounds.
will have a wonderful
So
time.
basically, it was the first volume of an anthology series of 5 different Italian like artists, and so each one of them has a different style, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the names I wasn't familiar with. But there was one guy, Tsunari Tariyawa, who I was a little bit with because Chris would post his stuff all the time. And I was like, wow, that's really cool art. But basically, I read it, I fell in love because it was something different. The quality of the pages and the binding was phenomenal. And so I wrote a review for the website. And then the editor reached out to me, the publisher. He was like, hey, I would love to send you like another copy to review. So I reviewed that copy next, and I was even on the pull quote on inside one of the volumes.
Nice.
And then we just kind of like stayed in touch. I stopped writing comic reviews for all websites, but then he reached out to me at one point and he's like, hey, would you be interested in doing some like translating? And first of all, I don't speak Italian, but he has someone who does like a really rough translation of what like the English version should be looking like. And so then I go through and check for grammar, check for spellings. I sometimes have to go through like whether it's Google Translate or different translating apps to make sure that what they're trying to convey is actually what they're trying to convey.
Sounds good in English.
Exactly. So like, okay, if I read this out loud, is it going to sound clunky? Is it going to sound like someone trying to translate something? So I've been doing that for several titles over the past couple of years, actually. I love doing it. And I just actually finished one graphic novel yesterday. It's called Crooked. It'll be either out later this year or next year. I think it's later this year. And then the one, and that's by let's see, Danilo Manzi. And then I did another one by David Genshi, and David Genshi's art's a little too erotic / like kind of twisted for my views.
Is he in the book that you just showed?
Not this one. No, he came along later.
Because I saw some of exactly what you were talking about in one of the last ones.
Oh no, that's Paulo Masagli, and I do love Paulo. Paulo's work is amazing, but in the Underdark Weird Fantasy Ground compilation, there's only 3 volumes out so far. It should be 5 altogether soon. But it's Matt Brinkman, who's a legend in comics, Miguel Angel Martin, Tsunori Tariyawa, Ra Tiger, and Paulo Masigli. And I've talked about these guys in other formats and other places. But yeah, I mean, I've had such a fun time doing this because, I mean, one day with all this free time I wish I had, like whether I'd be writing something or illustrating something, I would love to like edit an anthology because I know a bunch of artists. I know a bunch of writers. I would love to just shove them all together and just like use my connections to like have all these people under one roof and just see what's out there. But
nice big dream.
It's a nice big dream.
If only you were putting that wish out somewhere on social media,
well,
out loud for the world to hear.
Well, I mean, listen, everything starts with a seed, and then if someone reaches out and be like, "Hey, that sounds like a good idea," then by all means, let's get the ball rolling. But it's like, I have a job. I don't get home until like 7, 8 o'clock sometimes. Well, no, closer to 8 sometimes. So it's like I don't have the time to do all this stuff. Because I also want to go to the gym and not be like a fat lard at the end of the day too.
It's a living.
Yeah, I don't want to like peak in my 30s and then just like not be able to ever get back to that point. It's like, okay, if I keep it up and I keep active, I won't like all of a sudden have a heart attack in a couple of years because I was like too much cake. But yeah, it's just one of those several projects that I would love to do. Like I just want to self-publish stuff. I just want to write screenplays. Want to illustrate stupid Fugu comics, and I want to edit an anthology. So
they are very stupid.
Oh, they're great. They're fun. Like the whole idea about that was like, okay, I'll redraw these with a little bit more of a steady hand and a bigger format, and then do a Kickstarter for it. Because I mean, that everyone was doing Kickstarters at one point.
Yeah,
but,
why not throw yourself in Indiegogo? What have you?
Well, I don't like Indiegogo because if it doesn't get funded, you don't get your money back. So basically, it's a blank check for them. They can cash in at any time.
Yeah,
with Kickstarter,
put whatever you want in Indiegogo. Come on, buddy.
Kickstarter, at least they have that. I mean, contract. You still can lose your money if the guy takes off and runs with it. Which
Sure.
there've been several instances of that.
There have, yes.
And then you get legalese involved, but Kickstarter can't get involved because they're like, listen, we have in the terms of service, this is on you. Like we can't force the person to either give you the product or your money back. But I mean, Kickstarter would be the way to go because then you can see, okay, well, I got close enough, or it was funded, or having a better idea. I mean, I'd have to talk to several people who I know have had successful Kickstarters because it's never the production costs, it's the shipping apparently that fucks you over.
Yeah, really?
Because you don't take shipping and like weight into account, and then you're
It's
losing
extremely
money.
difficult too,
Yes.
especially when you don't even have the end product to even make a guess on that.
Or internationally too. If you have
God,
international backers,
internationally, yeah, that would ring
one
wrong,
of the Kickstarters, Sullivan Sluggers, back in the day, I was a big cheerleader for by Mark Andrew Smith and James Stokoe. It was mainly because of James Stokoe's art, but it was one of the most successful Kickstarters of all time at that point. Like he made millions of dollars.
Yeah.
he went through so much hell because the international backers, like the cost to ship, like ate so much into his profits that he was like almost penniless at the time. He blamed that Kickstarter on his divorce. He blamed it on like he tried to have other Kickstarters just for shipping, which was like against the Kickstarter rules.
Yeah.
Like he crashed and burned, and then he like went after the artist on social media too. The artist, mind you, who everyone loved. Everyone loved Stoko, and Stoko was like quiet through this entire thing. So the guy was making a complete ass of himself, and so it's like, okay, so we're all backing away slowly. And he even like emailed me a couple months after the whole thing, like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. Fine.
Great.
Not talking to you. I'd have no interest in helping you on with further Kickstarters, but he's one of the fuckers who keeps emailing me like through Kickstarter, like, hey guys, I have a new project going. I'm just like, how do I unsubscribe to this? It's like, you can't unsubscribe, unfortunately. So
It's to
just
pay
like,
for shipping for my new one.
essentially.
Kickstarter recently relaxed their rules, so I decided to raise a Kickstarter to fund my life
No one's
so that I can live and pay for my divorce.
Well, I think he was like living in Thailand too. So like he was. I think it's pretty cheap to live over there.
It's a little cheap to live over there.
So I
yeah.
think, but I just don't think he wants to show his face stateside, which I don't blame him because I'm sure there's some people who still feel a certain way about not getting their either their money back or the final product or
something
whatever.
about poking the internet bear is really doesn't turn
But
out well.
like they even advertised that Kickstarter on like the Pirate Bay back in the day, like, and that was unheard of because people were
Whoa.
like, you can advertise on here.
Yeah.
So that's what got him a huge
Imagine
amount
that
of eyeballs.
email that shoot it out to the Pirate Bay. They're like, "Hey, we'd like to actually advertise on you. Do we have ad space? I don't know what it's."
What countries are server in this month? Sweden? I think we have ad space in Sweden.
Okay, yeah, cool.
yeah, sure.
Throw it
let's
out
do
there. We'll move some of the porn to the side.
Did you ever see that documentary, Away for a Keyboard, or I think it was that about the Pirate Bay?
No.
It was really interesting. It was back when it was like during like the legal like fights over it and stuff like that, and just it's kind of like The Social Network, only like with the Pirate Bay.
With the Pirate Bay.
Because they were actually taking footage of the guys like building this empire, and then like having to go on the run or have to have the pirate party, and then just I think it was available to download on their website, but I think surely it should be available on some platform. I'm thinking. Just look up Pirate Bay documentary if you're interested. It was interesting to me at the time.
I'll check it out.
Do we have anything else to talk about?
I am square.
You are square.
Yeah.
I hear it's hip to be a square.
No, it hasn't been hip to be a square for a while, unfortunately.
Oh boy, I better. I have all these T-shirts. I can't sell now.
These big boxes I wear on myself. With the Kanye video.
No, you are wearing a Scott Pilgrim.
I am wearing a
shirt,
Scott
though.
Pilgrim T-shirt.
And
which is lovely
when I saw you, I had a very fond memory of our WonderCon together, 2012, I believe it was. When we both got those shirts. I still have mine, and I wear it lovingly on occasion too, because it's one of those shirts that you don't want to like take out too much because it'll
it'll wear down
Yes.
and it'll ruin the whole thing. Yeah.
That was the first version, the black version. They also later came out with like a Comic-Con exclusive version. It was like blue or something like that. I was like, you fuckers! Like there should have only been one version of it. How dare you? But no, like that WonderCon was back when it was still in San Francisco. I think we have pictures from us at the Isotope party when we were like all nice and dressed. And I think was that the year? I don't know, maybe that they had the circus performers. Do you remember the circus performers?
Yes,
It was like the
that's
punk
where we
rock
saw the
circus
circus performers.
That was crazy.
Yeah, with the
Penguin
we got
Boy.
to staple money to his balls.
Oh
Yeah, that was
my
the
god!
guy.
It's like.
That was the clincher. There were a lot of things that happened before that, but that was the last
Oh
bit.
my
Just so
God.
you know,
Yeah.
he didn't open with the
Yeah,
staple money.
it was the grand finale. Yeah,
Yes.
no, but Johnny Knoxville, eat your heart out, right? I'm like,
Hey, it's what is it called when it's someone who like doesn't feel pain at all and you could just knock him out?
masochist.
No, it's a certain type of a freak show name. I was
Okay,
given it,
all
like
right.
a bearded lady, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I want to say a gimp, but that's not it.
No, that's
Yes.
something completely different.
So he was doing that show, but that's where we saw it. Yeah.
Yeah,
was,
no.
That was actually the WonderCon where I met Pendleton Ward.
Really?
Yeah, he was there, just at a little booth. I flipped through his little things. I was like, hey, what's this looks pretty cool. What's this all about? Oh, it's this TV show I'm trying to get started. You know, it's just a new thing. And then, bam, Adventure Time was on the fucking...
My goodness.
Yeah, like the next year.
And to think, if you actually bought that little flip book, that would have been like worth thousands.
I don't believe the flip book was for sale.
Oh, it was just
I
a
think
flip
he was
book.
selling himself as an artist. But that was certainly an interesting experience.
Yeah, you should have grabbed it, man.
A year later, just... woo! I think it was tied down. Actually tied down.
Other time travelers had other like
Yes, they
plan
showed
was
up.
like, well,
And they had the big fin hats on, and he's like, "Wait a minute."
oh no, not again. But no, I mean that was fun. Yeah, back in the day.
reminiscing.
That's what the show's all about, right? Just remember when we had time and energy to do this shit
God, I certainly don't.
before we had to worry about jobs and rent and healthcare and
Stop and make
the
me cry.
world burning and Amazon
You're
burning.
making me
Yeah.
very sad.
Yeah, it's true.
And if Amazon burns, how are we going to get season 2 of The Boys?
I don't know. I mean, hopefully Jeff Bezos has like some fire retardant suit of some sort.
What'd you call him?
Retardant.
Oh,
retardant.
excuse me.
Even though in French, and retard means late. And pomme de terre means potato. And
The
sans
more you
gluten means no gluten. Or sans lactose.
It means without.
It means without, yes.
Without,
Indeed.
yes.
Well, Jeremy, if people want to see more of your non-existent social media, where do they find it?
Well, I've got my Facebook. It is just search for Jay Spalding on Facebook.com. I'll show up. I'm probably the first one.
You'll see his pretty bearded face.
I have a pretty bearded face. I'm also a Jay Spalding VO at Twitter. I still haven't tweeted anything out because I feel like Twitter is a vacuous hole where all of my thoughts and desires go into a void, and I don't care what I spit out. So I just haven't put anything there yet.
Okay, well, I mean that's good for market or for connecting and
Good for
networking.
marketing,
yeah, and marketing. Yes.
Oh, what about yourself, Mr. Cammy? Where can people find you?
Cammy'sComicCorner.com. That's where you can find all the links to everything else.
That's where you found this, dummy.
Yeah, duh. Facebook / Cammy's Comic Corner at Cam Comic Corner on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, all the links are at the website, including my book Morsels of Delight, which is available on Amazon to purchase as a trade paperback or on Kindle. And then one day I'll get an audiobook format of it too.
Yeah.
One day.
If only you knew a person who read audiobooks.
I think I'm pretty good at reading audiobooks. You. Boy. How about we do it together simultaneously
That
and
would
see
be
what
the
happens?
weirdest experience ever.
In stereo, like you'll be in the left channel and I'll be in the right channel, and then our the listener will go crazy.
Yeah,
And
it's
their
like
mind will explode.
ASMR for people who hate themselves.
Yes, and once again, thank you to Harker for also sponsoring the episode. A link to his book will be down in the show notes. Not Brokeback Mountain. No, he did not write that one. No,
Run that take again.
Until September, a gay coming-of-age love story. Amazon, 99 cents. Harker Jones. But like I said, it'll be in the show notes. Well, Jeremy, I can't wait for you to watch Good Omens, and maybe I'll watch something else as well, and we
Hell
can
yeah.
chat about it.
Any movies you're looking forward to?
I still have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I would love to.
I would love to as well. Maybe we can talk about that next time.
Maybe we'll even go and see the movie. But, I mean, next weekend you're going to be down in San Diego for my
I got some
wedding
thing
reception.
going
So,
on.
yeah. Which, you did get the invite. You did
I
get
did
it.
get the invite handwritten. I've got it. Don't worry.
Call back to last episode. But in the meantime, you can see the archives on Cammy's Comic Corner / Geeky Talkie, I think it is. But so yeah, all that's there, all that's available. It's been a good chat. It's been a good
sir.
about an hour. So yeah, I think that's we'll leave it there. So say goodbye, Jeremy.
Goodbye, Jeremy.
Thank you for listening, bitches.